I should be ready for this. My favorite course.
Great course.
It is a great course. It's a great course. It's a great week. It's a great show. PGA DFS live before lock here at Stokastic. We're ready. Talk a little Wells Fargo Championship. We've got the field. We've got the course. Soon we'll have horses. We were talking about horses before the show. Kentucky Derby week on my mind. Video was posted. Odd Shopper. Go check it out. But we're not here for that. We're here to talk about the return of Rory McIlroy and all the other stuff going on at Quail Hollow. I am Ben Raza. I'm joined as I always am by Geoff Ulrich. Got the Oilers after the show. He's ready. I'm ready. I spoke for you. Are you in fact ready?
I'm definitely ready, man. Yeah,
You're
no.
ready.
I mean, got through the first round with the Oilers. I know I'm supposed to talk about golf right now, but
It's all right.
feeling good, feeling more relaxed and ready for the Wells Fargo. I'm actually what I'm really ready for is the PGA Championship. I'm ready to get that because we'll talk about what happened in Mexico, but I'm taking another shot with Tony Finau there, and I want to bring it on, man. Like I'm ready for the PGA, so I'm looking forward to this week, but I'm really looking forward to the next major.
Yeah, I love Quail Hollow, my favorite course. And it listen, for good reason. It hasn't been associated with this tournament every single year lately. We had some antics. We had this as a major, so all good. But I'm excited to have it back. I've had some good memories here. Roberto Castro comes to mind way back in the day, almost won. But that's neither here nor there. Before we move forward, and I see all the regulars in the house. What's up, my friends? Mexico. Tony, that was good. I was really happy for that. I ran pretty hot. I didn't realize how many guys I needed to make that cut because I thought I got a lot through, but I didn't get enough through. Luke List and a couple others absolutely killed. And then EVR for a second was good, and then he just wasn't good.
Yeah, no, I was getting ready to text you up. I'm like, you must have something up here with EVR and Finau, and then EVR just kind of flamed out. But it was like, I don't know. I was the same boat. Like, I had like one guy kind of, if I just had that one through, would have been nice, but nice to get, Batia up there as well. I didn't have a piece of Finau. I really considered betting him. I thought it was fine to do it at plus 800. And the thing is, like, the odds were Rahm, I thought was actually pretty fair at his odds. I just, should Finau have been like 4 times it? I don't think he should have been in that field. I think he should have been, a little bit less. So I thought it was smart to jump on him. Obviously, I took the other approach, just spray and pray. And, I hit a little each way with Batia, so that was nice too. But yeah, it was a nice week. I enjoyed Finau, just watching Finau get it done against Rahm, where I think everyone was kind of expecting the opposite to happen. So.
Yeah. Listen, obviously the Finau narratives have been put to bed. We'll see in a major.
That's funny though. They have there's still people out there, Ben, who they for whatever reason don't think Finau is that good, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. But I still get tweets. I still get like, Finau's not winning a major. He can't win. Like, I just like, where have you been the last 2 years? This guy might be the next coming of Dustin Johnson on the PGA the next couple of years if things roll right. So I don't know.
I'm just stunned at and how quickly it changes, because there was a window, and no one remembers, where Scheffler, it was like, yeah, he's good, but like,
right, when's he gonna win?
Is he ever gonna really do anything substantial? And now look at him.
Yep.
Like, I'm just people
forget the first 1.5 years with Scotty. It was like, yeah, he's good. No one was beating the drum that Scotty Scheffler was going to be the number 1 player. If you had said that in his rookie year, you probably would have gotten laughed off Twitter. Like, you would have gotten like legit internet bullied if you had said that. So
yeah. I already get internet bullied. So if I would have said it, would have been big problems. But yeah, other than that, I don't have a ton from Mexico. You mentioned Batia, Brandon Wu. These are guys, they're not going away. They can play. Obviously, of course, this toasty character, if you're 30% on, you automatically become optimal. So you have that going for you. That's about it. It's funny. It feels like Rahm played poorly because he didn't win. That's how good he is. And now I know he's not at Quail Hollow, but it just shows how ridiculous this run is.
It really is ridiculous. I think my biggest takeaways there too are with Wu and Batia as well. With those young players too, there's such good opportunity there. Don't forget, like, Batia was 90, 100 to 1 coming off a missed cut. These guys' games, and Brandon Wu is the same. They're volatile, but don't forget where the talent is, man. Like, especially when we get into the weaker season, I want Brandon Wu to go miss a cut. because I want him to get back up to 60. He's going to win soon. He's really good. So is Batia. So yeah, those two guys will be potential cash machines coming out on the rest of the season.
Yeah, but let's move forward again. We got Wells Fargo. This is a dynamite field, no doubt about it. And to get things started, again, I tell you every week, and I know a lot of you, I've talked to people taking advantage of this. Rainmaker sponsors this show. And if you haven't gotten started yet, if you've seen the contests in the lobby, you're saying, I don't know if I want to go all in on this new format. Well, get your free starter pack. Let's start there. It's in the link in the description. Free DraftKings Rainmaker pack. You click it, you're in, you see what cards you get, you see the format, you learn a little more. Then maybe you take a dive in. You see, Jordan just pulled it up on the screen. You've got 350,000 in prizes this week. They're obviously not going away. All these sports have this format. So if you're looking to kind of have a new angle, anytime you get a new format, undiscovered, inefficient, we see it time and time again. Tale as old as time. Opportunities there with Rainmakers. So appreciate you guys checking that out. And again, it's a free pack, so no reason not to. Now, I want to ask you, we're going to talk about, of course, we're going to be firing up lineup generator in a second. But I do want to ask you about Quail Hollow. Again, my favorite course. It is my favorite course on tour. And as we pull up lineup generator here, what do you think is going to go into lineups that you're kind of looking at? Sorry, Jordan. Yeah, you could pull up lineup generator, but like, what do you anticipate us looking to get when we build out these lineups with lineup generator?
Yeah, so there's a couple different themes. I mean, obviously, like just pure, if you're just playing for pure value, there's going to be some very condensed players this week. I mean, you're not fooling anyone with Cameron Young, Justin Thomas, even Victor Hovland at this point. So there's that. There's also the theme that this is an off the tee course. And I think people are going to be constructing around that a lot as well. So, Cameron Young fits that bill, but, going up, Homa, Rory, obviously, but even Cantlay now, who's just been driving it well. But that theme from, flows down further as well. Like, I think you're going to see not like big ownership on guys like Woodland and Rogers and Cam Davis, but they'll get some ownership. And, you can take that theme. I think the other thing to do is, you almost have to make a decision. Are you just going to go with people who just you think are a really good fit, or do you think people who are getting overlooked and undervalued? Maybe Justin Thomas is getting overlooked, even though at 8,900 he's not going to be underowned. But maybe Colin Morikawa, Fitzpatrick. Are you going to go with that theme, or are you just going to go with the off the tee guys and need a little bit more chalk, but still be able to differentiate down the lineup? So a couple different things going on. That's kind of how I'm viewing at the top. You got what you'd say like the solid drivers, the guys who are good fits, and then the guys who are just kind of flying in under the radar.
And that's what we get. Again, we just pulled up lineup generator. Jordan went through, he picked didn't lock anybody. So we have a nice spread of lineups, and you see how quickly these are generated. And then it shows you your exposures. Hovland and Cam Young and Hatton and Fleetwood and some of these guys that are going to be really popular. It looks like we're getting a lot of balanced builds, and you see that right there. Again, you've got your ownership, your projected points on the left. If you don't like someone in a lineup, quickly and easily sub them out, kick them out. Super simple. Again, this tool is a game changer. If you're saying, I want to throw 20 extra in, I want to take a couple lineups here and see what I get, and kind of take that mentality. It's fantastic. I use it every week, generate some of my lineups. It can be an add-on. It can be an add-on to your process. It's a ton of fun. And again, it is available for you guys. The link is in the description. Check out PGA Lineup Generator and get accustomed, because I know what's going to happen. We had this for the Masters, and I know we had just unveiled it. For the PGA Championship, I know a million people are going to want this. Test it out before them. Come on in for a couple tournaments, test drive this, so when the major comes, you are ready to rock. And this is a great week to do it, because we are now, and it's time to talk about Quail Hollow. Again, I love this course. It's got a blend of difficult. You got to drive the ball, fast Bermuda. To me, it's just a good test. I mean, what do you think of when you think of this course?
Yeah, no, I think of like major championship style venue. It feels like they could just give Quail Hollow a week and go play the PGA Championship there pretty much any week of the season, right? It's always really well cut. It's got a ton of tough stretches. The finishing hole is one of the best in golf as well. It's got a tough tee shot. It's got a little penalty area working alongside that the players can't bail out to, which I love. And it's got, like tougher greens as well. They're a little bit more slope to them, like you said, a little bit more speed. it's just a good course. It's just really, really solid. And yeah, I mean, I hate it when they took it off for the President's Cup. I mean, I don't know if you can take it off the schedule, put it in a major or something, but no, it's a great course. I'm glad it's got the elevated event status. It would have been just a shame to have this as like a, just some rinky dink stop. I'm sure you still would have gotten a lot of players playing because it's such a good course, but it is basically the perennial tee to green test. And I mean, Max Homa, Rory McIlroy, guys who are strong off the tee, but strong everywhere else. They're maybe not the best, what you call like the most creative around the green, but they're not disasters there either. And they're just players who can get really confident with their ball striking and obviously heat up with the putter too.
Yeah, again, it's definitely shown that you just need to know what you're doing. You're not going to be able to fake it around this. And it's an interesting part of the season. That's the one thing to me. Anytime Harbour Town is involved in recent form, I always think it's exploitable, because when you look at some of the drastic courses people have been playing, you're like, oh, this guy is not playing great. It's like, or he just played a really weird track. And now he comes to me, Quail Hollow is so vastly different. It could be a time to buy low on some of this stuff.
Absolutely. Harbour Town is its own little thing. I mean, it fits well with like Colonial and a couple other courses, but when you get to these other big courses, yeah, Quail Hollow is basically the exact different. I mean, it stresses you way more off the tee. You're not just placing the ball. If you don't have a good drive, you're really scrambling for par. I mean, you're not just, you're cut off a little bit from the pin. You're really scrambling. So yeah, in terms of, looking at past results, absolutely. What a guy did at RBC or Harbour Town, don't buy into it too much. Especially if they weren't doing anything before that. I think that's the biggest thing. If they just popped up there, you need to have a real question mark about what's happening. But at the same time, I think the bigger thing to exploit, like you said, the guys who did poorly at Harbour Town, it was coming off the Masters too. Some of these guys probably didn't want to be there. Finau is actually a great example. He didn't do anything at Harbour Town, didn't really do anything at the Masters, and then took a week off. And look, I think you can get something very similar this week. And I think there's opportunity, maybe not even with just the top guys, but like down the board players. Like I'm almost expecting, Ben, that we're going to get, I really think we may get like a bit of a shock winner, like something like Kitayama this week. I just got that feeling. It's a good course. I think you're going to see some of these guys who've been simmering a little bit potentially step up.
Well, that leads us right in. Let's get to it then, because I'm interested to see if that mentality means for you, okay, I'm going to go to Rory more often and pay up because maybe I can find some guys at the bottom, or you know what, I'm going to take like 4 or 5 guys with legit win equity. Because when we get this started, we've got Rory at 11-1. Xander is overpriced, but he's under-owned because he's overpriced. He's the clear leverage looking at our projections and our leverage tool, which is all part of the package here. Then you've got Cantlay and Finau, who has shown he can go back-to-back. He's already done it in his career. Who of the top names, we know they're playable, but do you have a preference?
So, I mean, I'm kind of going to roll with our projections. I hate it when I do this with Rory, but I really do kind of prefer Cantlay. I mean, he's cheaper. Our projections like Cantlay as well, as I'm trying to get our ownership projections up. But I like starting lineups with him. I really do. I mean, he did play well, obviously at RBC, but I mean, Cantlay's played well all year. Like he's played well at Riviera as well. I mean, and I just like what he's doing for Quail Hollow right now. I mean, he's a player who's absolutely just destroying it off the tee. The ball striking is all there. The only problem with Cantlay this year is just that his putter hasn't gotten hot. But he's got everything else that you want in a player to take on Quail Hollow. So I don't mind starting there. My problem with Cantlay is just that if you're going to use him, he is obviously, and this is where the ownership comes into play. He is trending like to be a top 5% owned player. So this isn't really what you call like a big surprise that people are jumping on Cantlay. So if you want to be contrarian, I think that the contrarian build is to go with Rory and then go with like 3 players in the 7K range who I think have upside. And I think there are a lot of players. So, I guess my favorite, like what you call just optimal build would be like Cantlay, Hovland kind of thing. But for GPPs, like I definitely think you need to have Rory exposure this week. I mean, even if Rory plays semi-decent, like I said, I think you could get saved anyways by the fact that this may just be a more wide open affair with it being more of a sort of a condensed skill set course. So for GPPs, I'd be looking to make the Rory lineups, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like concerned. Obviously, Rory's had a weird little stretch here. He didn't have it at the Players. He comes to Augusta, which is the pinnacle of his season, until he breaks through there, and he was as awful as anyone could have anticipated. Even the people that wanted to short him, I don't think, thought he wouldn't make the weekend. Then he pulls out of event that, again, can he afford it? Yeah, he can. He'll be just fine. But obviously, it's not great. He said he needed to get his head right. Couldn't be a better bounce back spot for him, but he's still going to be popular. Xander, we have around 10%. I'm stunned by that. I like that spot. Xander's not winning at the clip he should be, but he's playing pretty damn good golf. 4th at Heritage, 10th at the Masters, 19th at the Players. He gains across the board. Cantlay's rock solid. Honestly, I hate to be that guy, but all 4 of them feel pretty comfortable with. There's not one guy of the 10K that I want to be way under on. I'd like to have a healthy exposure to all of them if I could.
It's a pretty good week just to have a spread. Like I said, I basically did double speak in my first take. I do like Cantlay. I think he's optimal, but again, if you're playing just all these guys, it's going to be a very popular build, right? So, it's just the way you want to go about constructing your lineup, but it's a tough week. Like for me, I almost didn't bet anyone at the top this week. I did eventually do it because I'm going to, but it just doesn't feel like there's much to pick and choose from here. We're basically just kind of picking our favorite plays. It feels like there's very little edge for me to come. I mean, I considered betting Rory at one point. This is his favorite course. He's done it before. We have seen this from McIlroy come in, kind of be a disaster at the start and just play well because it's Quail Hollow. So will it shock me if he does it again? Absolutely not. I am with you on Xander, though. I think Xander's really interesting to pair, too. Like, you can pair him with Cantlay. You get more lower ownership. Yep. I'm usually always right out on Xander, but just for the fact that he's just every week, everyone plays him. His number is always bad, and there just feels like there's better ways to go. But this week, he's finally kind of gotten to a place where, I don't think that many people are super interested in him, and there's really nothing wrong with him, in terms of just how he fits his course. So,
I like I said, I really can't push back on any of that. We're going to talk balance builds right now, but we did get a super chat. Friend of the show, as always, Mr. Yarbrough. Wyndham Clark or Corey Connors, if you had to choose one. Obviously, Wyndham Clark rallied. I didn't like him last week. He made the cut and actually played decent, didn't pay off his price tag. Or Corey Connors, who, we saw him win and then miss a cut at the Masters. Where would you go?
I would go with Connors, pure ball striker's course. You think of Connors, Valspar, or Valero. This is the kind of course where Corey Connors, I think, long-term is just better. Clark is playing better. He's fine, but I think that if you go with Clark, your upside is a bit more limited. I think, he'll probably put in a T20, T40. Connors has better top 10 ability, in my opinion.
Yeah, and just Wyndham Clark, obviously, he can get away with some of this stuff off the tee, but at the same time, I just feel like Corey Connors we saw it. He just puts on a clinic off the tee. Yeah. And Wyndham Clark is a little more erratic in my mind, but we'll get there again as we work down. I want to ask you, though, about the next range, because I think we've said we're very comfortable with the top 4. Morikawa is searching for this putter. He's searching hard. I've seen stuff on Twitter trying to change the grip again. We know Ball Striker Clinic. Can he mask it? Because when you look, him and Hovland have deficiencies that none of the other top players have, where they're so bad in one category that it somehow prevents them at times from being elite, despite how good they are.
Yeah, and it has prevented Morikawa from being elite. When he was on his tear and when he was winning those majors, the putter would show up for him. He actually putted really well for a little stretch, too. It looked like he might just be like that's why people were saying, he's going to be the next dominant player. He's going to be able to putt like Spieth and irons like Tiger. And now the irons are there, but the putter's not there. I was really thinking I would probably go into the week betting Morikawa, but when you go through the depth of this field, and like you said, you look at what the other players are doing, I don't feel the need to necessarily take a risk with a player who no idea what he's going to do on the greens. We could say that about a lot of people, but Morikawa is not necessarily playing so much better in the other areas right? That like we have to say, oh, well, we can take a shot with him. And this field is so deep, I think, is the big thing. And he's 9,800. I mean, Fitzpatrick is 9,300. Hovland's 9,200. Like, these are guys who have pretty much played just the same or outperformed him this season. So I'm kind of out on Morikawa. I don't know. I mean, again, maybe we'll sprinkle him in, again, just to alert people. I mean, the Stokastic ownership projections, I think super valuable every week, but most valuable in the weeks when we get these elite fields, because you can, you can see where the top is going, and you can, just find out who the leverage play is essentially. And Morikawa is still trending with over 15% ownership. I thought he may just be the odd man out, but he's really not going to be that unpopular. So I'm kind of out on him, to be honest. I don't love any of the like basically Homa Spieth Morikawa. I don't love. I just think there's too much skill underneath them to necessarily build. Doesn't mean you have zero of them or you can't use them, but they're not my favorite plays by far.
So I want to just follow up right there, because I see it the same way. You can't have everybody. I just talked about 4 guys right above Morikawa that I like. You can't have them and the balance build and Morikawa. Morikawa is going to get squeezed for me. The guy that Victor Hovland, I'll give people a little sneak peek, is projecting to be probably the highest owned player in the tournament. It's pretty crazy, and it's a good price. And we've seen Hovland come to difficult tracks, and we've seen Hovland mask around the green, even though he just can't do anything there. At Heritage, he lost 7 strokes putting. That means nothing. If you lose 7 strokes putting, you're not going to play well. 7th at the Masters, 3rd at the Players. Can you possibly get over on him here? Or is this something where we say, I mean, what do you do when he's 30% potentially?
Yeah, like, I like Victor Hovland. I do. I wrote him up this week. I don't think that this is a tournament necessarily you need to do that. I mean, it's an elite field. Like, Hovland's good, but he's not that good. Like, he's not that good that, like, you shouldn't be looking at like an 8% owned Jordan Spieth, that you shouldn't be looking at an 11% owned Matthew Fitzpatrick. I'm just going to give you guys all the ownership projections. But I mean, you guys get my point. Surely that I like Hovland. If the around the green is terrible, if his ball striking is a little bit off, he's going to finish like 30th, and you're going to be swearing and stuff and hating me. And there's the main thing is there are legitimate pivot options around him. So he's getting a lot of steam. I knew he was going to get steamed up at the start of the week. I didn't really think it would get this steamy. Like, this is getting pretty hot in my opinion. And it's even to me, the guy who bet him Monday morning and likes him and thinks it's a great fit and thinks he's well overdue. I don't know, man. Like, I would be okay just being like field average on him in DFS. It is about your exposure too. I mean, I have exposure to him in the betting market, but I don't know how I'd be feeling if I was just doing DFS with him right now. I'd be a little bit edgy to be going too crazy with him. He's still a volatile player, like you said, from the sense that he can come out and muck it up on the greens or just be a disaster around the greens.
I definitely have some exposure because he's a dangerous player to full fade.
Yes, exactly.
I'm not sure I can get over though, just because the field loves him in an even single entry. He's going to be pushing 30%, 35%. I'm just not able to allocate like that. I do think he's a good bet, particularly if you found better than 20-1, which I'm sure you did if you bet him early. So
but here, the perfect example is the players you want to get over on. It was last week. It was the elite players in the week field. That's where you want to just click the lock button, Finau or Rahm, because there's no other Finau and Rahm in the field.
Yes.
There's other Hovlands in the field. There's other players of his skill set or just as good. And I don't know, man. Yeah, like he's getting up there. Maybe we hit Wednesday night, people will think like, well, everyone's going to play him. I can't play him. And maybe his ownership won't be that bad. We'll see. I'm kind of hoping that. Obviously, I like him. I hope he wins this week. But I mean, it's a little crazy when you're talking about trying to get that first place prize. I mean, he's going to be right up there. It kind of creates an opportunity to go basically just turn around and short him. Like I almost think like that is kind of the play at this point.
It's true. Again, as for a lot of you, if you follow me on Twitter at JazzRazDFS, I always do my tweet. And I always have a fade in there, and I considered putting Hovland in the fade spot. I didn't ultimately, but it's just not because I hate him. I just think that's a lot. Related question from chat, though. This is an interesting one. 2v2s. All right, I'm going to give you 3 of them. Morikawa and Cam Young, Spieth and JT or Fitzy and Hovland. If you had to pick one of those pairings, which one would you go with?
It would definitely be one of the, I would go, oh man.
To me, it would be Spieth and JT.
Yeah, it's between Spieth and JT or Fitzy and Hovland. Again, like I like Hovland. I'll go Fitzy and Hovland, but I like both those last pairings, to be honest. And again, like Justin Thomas is going to be really highly owned too. So I'll go with my guy. Yes. I'll go with Hovland and Fitz.
Yeah, that's fine. I think we agree. To me, Morikawa and Cam Young would be last.
Yeah,
and they're all great players, but as we kind of work down the last couple guys in this range, and then we'll get to JT again. Damn good players, and this speaks to the pivots. Like Sungjae Im is playing fantastic. Jason Day obviously has had his success here. He's flat 9. They're not going to be sneaky. They're not going to be Hovland levels popular.
Yeah,
I'm pretty comfortable with Sungjae in all formats. Do you see something there, or are you just kind of if you land on them, you land on them?
No, it's kind of like, yeah, if you land on them, you land on them. Yeah. That's pretty much perfect way to put it. Nothing crazy with Sungjae. You know, I talked about him earlier today, and top 20 bet, sure. But I mean, like his upside just feels in these fields, he just feels like he just gets outgunned in these fields, you know, like he doesn't quite have the power off the tee. It's a couple better around the green players. His irons are fine. He's playing well, and like it'll happen for him. But you know, I don't think he's going to ever be a player where he like wins 5 times in a year. Like he's going to be a 1, 2 max, maybe not even, like take some years off kind of thing, guys. So Im's fine, but nothing crazy there. And the Day is the bit of a wild card for me this week. I don't really know what to make of him. My brain says he's going to bounce back in a big way, but it wouldn't surprise me if he didn't either. I mean, maybe I'm just Jason Day fatigue, and all those 3 or 4 years of him going to Disneyland and like withdrawing is still in my brain, but we'll see what happens. Not sure what to do with Jason Day yet, but like I said, my heart and brain are both saying he probably bounces back, but I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't.
I tend to agree. I guess the tricky part, I'm going to open it up again as we get to the top of the mid-range here. Jason Day and Ricky have obviously shown signs. There's no doubt they're playing better, but now they're priced like they're playing better. There was a window there where they were up and coming. They were mid-7s. We're buying. Jason Day is flat 9. Ricky's 8,800. I'm not saying they're easy fades by any stretch, but you got to. Well, this is big opportunity cost.
It's perfect. It's, you know, like should we be selling now? Should we be getting in? I'll give you. I know people like the hard takes better, and I'll give you one. I think Ricky Fowler is the play this week. I really do.
I'm wearing orange. Not a coincidence.
What we've seen from him, man. I mean, like it's consistency across the board. You know, striking it well, loves this course, top 20s every week. Ricky Fowler's top 20, and he hasn't really even gotten hot with the putter. I really think that this is a chance for him. I mentioned a player potentially coming out from the back. I think that it starts with a guy like Fowler potentially to do it. I like the fact he's priced up this week. My first thought was, good. No one's going to play him because he's between Thomas and Young. This is a brilliant spot for him for DFS. I think Fowler's the play there. I really do. Doesn't mean you have to fade Cam Young. I bet Cam Young. So, I mean, we'll get to Cam Young in a second.
Popular.
I have regrets, but I'm kind of glad that I forced myself to do it, but I have regrets. I like Ricky. I really do. He's been fine off the tee. He loves this course. This could really be the week. And if you look at where he's been close, that tournament in Japan, the Zozo, wherever the course at the Narashino, it's actually fairly similar to this week. It is. It's a long tree line course. It's just interesting factoid there. So I like Ricky. I'm into him this week. I think that he's a great pivot option, 85 and above. And I like his price for the simple reason I think it's going to keep people off.
I mean, listen, Ricky right now presents really good data points no matter what side you want to take, in my opinion. He's got low ownership relative to the range. The guy is a walking top 20. He's striking it. He's gained on the approach in every event in 2023. He has 0 top 10s inside the top 10. He has not really threatened at all if you want to take the other side and say, yeah, he's playing consistent, but his upside seems capped. Now, I don't believe that. I think he's really close. I think all that stuff is pretty much random. Like you're floating around 12th, then you break through and win. It can happen to anyone. So I'm completely comfortable with Ricky, but it's an interesting situation. Cam Young is mega popular, stupid popular, but it's probably warranted. Sam Burns, Hatton, Tomkin, Thigala, who played great at the Zoizo, Lowry, Harmon, Fleetwood. This is the 8K range that we're dealing with. There's a laundry list of names in there. Who caught your eye?
I mean, I don't really love anyone in this range, but yeah, I mean, again, back to Cam Young, fine. I mean, he fits a skill set here that I think people will get on. He's certainly done well at Riviera. Again, I have a little bit of regrets just from the fact that, you know, when you're looking at the top of the board this week, that there's so much to pick and choose from. And I picked a guy who still hasn't won on tour, but at the same time, you know, again, Cam Young is probably going to win at some point, and he could easily come on a course like this. So I don't really hate it. But under him it's interesting. I mean, you can certainly make cases here, but I don't necessarily love anyone. I'm probably just going to do what probably I feel like you're going to do is I'm just going to play Tommy Fleetwood again. Playing fine. Tee to green is there. What did we just see at the Valspar? By the way, in terms of just corollary and correlations, if you're looking at anything, Copperhead really fits well with this course. Another long windy set, par 71. We've got players who've had really good correlation there throughout the years. Don't have to go through all of them, but certainly guys like Patrick Reed, Justin Thomas, to name a few. I think Fleetwood is at least in play. And I like the fact that, you know, his price has been the same. No one really plays him that much. You're not going to get high ownership on him. I have a little bit of interest in going back to Shane Lowry here as well. Thigala, I don't even really know what to say about him. I mean, he's played well at these long, great golf courses. He's a great scorer for DFS. Will there come a time that the young player volatility rises up and he finishes like 70th, or he misses the cut? Yeah, it's going to happen again for sure. But at the same time, there's no reason not to play him. He's 8,200. So I'm looking at the bottom end of this range. I'm kind of just bypassing Burns, Hatton, and Kim. I don't like Hatton for this setup. Tom Kim, whatever. I think we're just out on him for the rest of the year. And then I'm really just looking at the bottom 8K range.
I'm certainly Tommy Fleetwood's probably, I think, my favorite play. I don't really understand the price. He feels like Ricky and Day a couple months ago, where it's just like Tommy Fleetwood is just playing really good golf. He gained across the board at Heritage, and his price does not move. I really like that spot. Thigala is one of these guys, to me, both things can be true. I think he's pretty close to blowing up in one of these spots. His stats are all over the place. His irons aren't consistent. He gains a ton of strokes around the green at times. Then he pops off with the irons. But at the same time, again, I think he's close to blowing up, and I think he's close to blowing up the other way too. Like, the guy's an elite volatile player. So I think you just get some and live with the results there. No take. If Brian Harmon was like 7,200, I wouldn't have even noticed. I'm a little confused at why he's 8K. He played good at Heritage, and that broke a stretch of like 3 months of bad form.
I want to say it's because he won this event, even though it wasn't at Quail Hollow. And
yeah,
it
that was
probably messed with his algorithm or something.
Like, what are we doing here?
I don't know.
No,
I like
no for me.
Harmon's the mega galaxies brain play that won't work. So
it probably will work because people are. Harmon is definitely when
Abraham Answer almost won this event one year, so I guess it could happen. Yeah.
Well, if he's not here for obvious reasons, one of the live defectors. If Brian Harmon's definitely got hole-in-one equity, I'll say that much. He's the type of guy that will just do that for reasons unknown. Let's work to the second half of the mid-range, though. Connors, Kuchar, Wyndham Clark, Killa Keith, Keegan. You want to talk about your course in Japan?
Yeah.
I have it on pretty good authority that Keegan Bradley's got that trophy in his closet. Gary Woodland is here. Taylor Moore, I think, is pretty interesting.
Yes.
What do you make of the upper sevens?
Yeah. So I think a lot of people are just going to go to Keith Mitchell here.
Yep.
You look at his course history, 2 top 10s. Oh, he's also a great driver of the ball. He fits everything you want to see. I I'm kind of just out on him. Has not played well over the last few events, and he's been a pretty volatile player throughout his career. He's kind of either got it or he doesn't. Basically screwed up the team event for Sanjay. I'm okay fading that. I mean, it does come down a little bit to ownership here, but Keith Mitchell certainly projecting. Connors is projecting to be, a little bit above him, but he's one of the most popular plays this week in the 7K range. And if I was going to pick a chalk, I would just go with Corey Connors. He's just a better player, in my opinion. Kuchar could be like a bit of a, throw it in there. I mean, hope that the around the green and the putter carries them kind of thing. But I don't know. At 7,900, I don't necessarily want to be targeting players like that. If Kuchar was kind of like Harman in the low 7Ks, sure. But I think my main feeling is starting out with kind of the guys that you mentioned there at the end, a Moore or Woodland, or maybe even a Keegan, who again, 48th at the Heritage, who cares? Not really a Keegan course. He hasn't been great lately either, but at the same time, this is kind of where he comes alive. So I have a lot of interest in Moore. I think that's probably my favorite play in this range. Certainly we'll go back to Woodland. He gained a ton of strokes ball striking last week. The putter was god awful. So just him making the cut was actually pretty impressive. Our guy Taylor Montgomery's down there. I almost feel like giving him a look this week, to be honest, but I haven't really played him much. Moore and Woodland are kind of the targets for me.
Taylor Montgomery, obviously it's pretty easy to link him to Denny McCarthy for obvious reasons, but I feel like he needs to learn. His approach is not zero. Like, you got to get it to zero, like McCarthy does at times. He's losing 4 strokes on the approach. It's so difficult.
It's not really the course to use Montgomery, if we're being honest. You got to get him at a little bit easier where he can really light it up, save himself.
Yeah, I don't. It's tough. Yeah. If Eric was on the show, he would tell you to lock Burns. I always have a blind spot with Burns. He never grades out well. He is sandwiched between Cam Young and Hatton, and that helps to suppress ownership, but he's not going to be sneaky by any stretch. So
that's the thing. If Burns was like really low owned, I would be all over it. He's won at the Valspar before. We know he's super talented. If his driver just isn't a disaster, he's long enough that he can dominate a course like this, but he's going to be popular. And he's really never done that well. And honestly, outside of the match play, which is kind of a quirky event, he really hasn't been that great. So I think Burns is actually like an okay fade. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. I never get to Sam Burns because I always have him a little overpriced, and I know he's got win equity. He's a dangerous player to fade. I've been burned more than a few times, but I've also been paid off a lot where there's these 12, 15, 17% Sam Burns weeks. I have 0%, and I'm able to survive that. I want to go back to where we're at though with Taylor Moore, Cam Davis Riley, your boy.
Yeah, here we go.
Fresh off the victory. Is this what do we do here? Patrick Rogers, guy that I think is sneaky sub 5%.
I'll tell you what we do, Ben. We load up, get the shopping cart out. I love all these guys. P-Rod coming off the 64 last week.
Nice.
Gaining strokes. Hey, Rogers almost won this event back in like 2016, I think, or something. But he played well that year, was top 5. Certainly seems to be coming into his own finally. Really glad to see it. He's always had the skill, but the ball striking with him really starting to click. He's one of the players down here. I think there's an opportunity this week. You don't have Rahm and Scheffler. You've got a weak number 1 in Rory because who knows what's going on in his head. You got a bunch of other guys still trying to figure it out a win. Cantlay, Xander, all these guys. I think this is a really good time for a guy like Rogers to come through. I like him a lot. I like Davis Riley too. Going right back.
Okay.
Again, the Valspar connection. Just coming off the win. We don't need to look. He's a volatile young player. I just mentioned it. We mentioned it with DeGallo. We mentioned it with Batia and Brandon Wu. These guys are going to miss cuts. Don't worry too much about it. I think Riley's another play, and Cam Davis. I mean, you know, you're in the Cam Davis club. I mean, he's gained 3 strokes off the tee in each of his last 2 starts. If you're wondering what happened with Cam Davis, I guess he had an illness. He did say he was really struggling with some mental problems, trying to push himself too hard, change up some approaches. Looks like it's really started to work. There's just too much upside with him. He's such a good driver of the ball. And the one Cam Davis link that I really like this week is the President's Cup. Played here last fall, played with Adam Scott, made some big putts. Another player in this range, man, I really think has a chance to do something this week. So those three guys. I like all of them. I don't even, if people want me to rank them, I can. I don't really know how I would do that, but they're all kind of on equal footing for me. I think they're great targets.
You don't need a lot of exposure to, like, that's the thing. It's not.
No, and none of these guys are chalk. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
It's not to take a shot at Keith Mitchell at all, because I see some, but like Cam Davis's abilities off the tee, like a lot of it, maybe it's not to the extent, but Cam Davis is 1/5 the ownership of a guy like Keith Mitchell and a little cheaper. Like to me, he's a great GPP target. So is Patrick Rogers. So is Griot. I know it's me, and credibility was like 2019, maybe, if we're generous. Like the last 4 years with this guy, he was surgical with the irons, and his putter is not a liability right now. His around the green game is double liability, but his putter is helping him right now.
I mean, why is he 2.4% owned? Like, why is he 2.4% projected?
That can't
why
be
is Chris Kirk 9.3? Like, it really makes no sense.
He's going to be more popular.
I mean, I like all these guys, and you should. I mean, they're like, we joke about Griot, but I mean, the dude has the game. I mean, absolutely. He's played really well this course. This course isn't just about bombing it either. You got to be long and straight. That's what Griot is off the tee. He's a momentum player too, to me. He's either into it or he's not. You can tell when he's not. Seems to be into it right now. So again, you throw him in with those other three guys too. I mean, I'm kind of flabbergasted that none of these guys have kind of gotten a lot of heat. Maybe they're just all canceling each other out. I don't know if people just think they suck or what, but I think they're really good plays.
I'm shocked as well. I love this range. All, like, even guys I haven't mentioned yet, Joel Dahman, Jaeger. Like, I'm not saying I'm loading up, but these guys are fine. The one guy I want to ask you before we move to the salary savers, Adam Scott is just down here. He's 7,300. He's really lost it with the irons, but he also finds ways to grind through most of these cuts.
Yeah.
What do you do with him? To me, I don't have a strong take, but did you do anything with him?
I haven't done anything with him yet, but something may happen. Something may transpire tonight. It is interesting. I know when I was going through the odds, I was like, wow, Adam Scott's 80-1. Maybe I should look into that, because it's like you said. I mean, like, he's won at Riviera, like these classical courses. I don't worry too much necessarily about, if his recent form is really bad and something, he's been struggling for a couple events, I guess that's a concern, but he's become a really consistent putter. His around the green game has just always been good, pretty much. And it can show up at any point. And if his irons do show up, I mean, the rest of his game is there. So I think he's really interesting. I think this is the kind of course event where, I think he makes for a really good play. I mean, obviously we like those guys in 75 range, 74, but when you get down here, the skill sets that we're dealing with too, like Yager doesn't fit as well. JJ Spawn's not, like, Damon's not a long hitter. I think Scott is kind of like, in a way, the play down here. I mean, not that necessarily you have to fade everyone else or anything, but I do like him. I mean, you don't have to dip down there and use him necessarily, but if you're down here, I mean, I would definitely be considering him. Like, I definitely want to be overweight on him. I maybe it just comes down to me not loving anyone else in this range either.
That's fair. The beautiful thing for me, I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna have lineups that have 4 guys in this micro range, and then my like 2 randoms up top. Cantlay Finau, 4 guys, 70, like that.
That's kind of the approach. It's like you're kind of just mixing and matching at the top this week, and then like really kind of pounding the guys that you like down here. That's kind of the way I'm looking at it too. It's not necessarily a week where I have strong takes on guys at the top, so more in the mid and low range here. Yeah,
I have sets of 2 in terms of pairings up top, and then sets of 4 at the bottom. And I have a lot of lineups that legitimately have like a 2,000 plus gap between my second priced guy and my third. Like, it goes from Finau to like, Taylor Moore. Just saying, it's an interesting build. Check that out. Let's get to the salary savers. Before I do, though, I want to mention, you've talked about Adam Scott's 80-1. I've mentioned Ricky's 40+1 out there in the streets. If you're in the betting streets, first of all, Odd Chopper YouTube, we've got you covered, all things betting. Odd Chopper Golf, exclusive golf. Bet365, talk about exclusive. They're in 4 states, but if you're lucky enough to be in New Jersey, Colorado, Ohio, or Virginia, you take a single $1 by clicking the link in the description, and you turn it into to $200 in bonus bets. You sign up, deposit 10, get 200 in bonus bets, claim the offer. There's nothing else to say. If you're lucky enough to be in those states, just take advantage. You got to be 21 plus. Play responsible. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Sub 7. I don't know. First of all, Sam Stevens is a guy. I didn't know he existed until he was taking money out of my hands at Valero. Do we go back to him?
Hitting up and down from the cacti.
Just like, oh, Sam Stevens for Eagle. I'm like, why are they showing a replay? Nope. That's just a new par 4 where Sam Stevens has done it again. Then again, Sam Ryder literally made birdie from the graveyard, so I shouldn't have complained, but I am. What do you see down here in terms of pay down options? And tell me why it shouldn't be Luke List.
Oh, man.
He literally
Are we doing this for Luke List? Is that where we're going?
I don't know if I can do it, honestly. Last week was so bad for him.
It's so bad, and this is such a good course for him, too. And he's played well here before. I actually don't hate it. Again, if you're going skill set build and stuff like that, it makes sense. But you don't have to. Again, not a ton. It's one of those weeks where like the in between, like the 8 to 7K, lots of takes, lots of hard takes, and the outsides. I have no real hard takes. There's no one I really love down here. Kind of interested in Adam Svensson. I know he's not a big hitter, but he's just such a good ball striker, and he's improved the rest of his games. At 6,900, I just feel like it's almost, just getting on a player who's good at golf and is a consistent ball striker. And if that shows up, he's probably going to do well this week, even though it's a longer course. So I don't hate Svensson. I don't hate going back to Dylan Wu, who's just another one of those younger players that doesn't get as much attention. But tee to green, he's really good. Like he has got a good long game. It should play well here. He's starting to get some confidence. And then, we're rolling the dice with Cam Champ. I mean, that was the other story of last week. Cam Champ gaining 10 strokes ball striking. He clicked. I mean, it clicked. I mean, so I don't know if that's a continuation, if that's just, I'm in a weak field now. I'm like 10 times better than everyone else. I should be playing well. We're going to find out. But with the setup, with the way the course is, and with just the absolute dominance he can have off the tee, I think you got to take a look.
I said I want to see it. I saw it. He's certainly in play. Now, it doesn't mean I'm jamming him by any stretch. Ollie in chat, you know what's going on. Will Gordon and Benny On. Those are on my list, both of them. Commissioner Gordon over here seems just pretty solid. His short game's atrocious, but you're not going to find well-rounded players down here. Benny On's just playing well. He's a little more expensive than what we're talking about. If you're willing to go back to Champ and you saw the ball striking, again, this guy can't help me ever, but EVR was good in a grand scheme. He just started great and ended horribly. He still came in 34 and he gained 5 with the approach. Yeah.
It's the same type of deal. This is a pretty weak argument against Van Rooyen, but like, I guess I'd rather have him on the style of course that we had last week, a little bit more of an open style. I get that's my only thing with him. Why? Because I looked at him, I'm like, this should probably just go back here. He's still got the most talent in the range, or one of the most talented players in the range. We've seen him do it against good fields. Maybe I just like a different setup, but it's fine. I mean, again, like you put him up against like Lipsky, Lashley, Lonto. I mean, he's a better player. Let's just be honest. At least in my opinion. Didn't like what we saw from Higgo last week, so I'm not going there.
That was
I think there's enough I don't think there's enough upside with Kazire or Cole at this course.
What about, can I give you one more?
Of course you can, sir.
Carson Young. I've seen the name a couple times. Chat mentioned him as well. He's 6,100. Now his stats jump off the page. I don't, again, I don't like this Cam Young, Carson Young, Ryan Baum, Ryan Blum, the Taylor Moore, Taylor Montgomery, just combined. Who's into one person, but he is another person. Who the hell is this guy?
I don't pretend to know much about him. I mean, he was on the Corn Ferry Tour. It didn't seem like, he was anything fantastic. Didn't think I'd be talking about him much this year, but he's put together a nice little run. I mean, like he was jumped ahead at Puerto Rico, striking it well. Seems to have some confidence in the other part of his game. I don't really know why he's only 61. it does seem like a complete misprice. So, I mean, you're certainly right to point it out. I look down here too, and it's like, again, you have to look at what your competition is. And I mean, there's not much else to go to here. We can go up to Pearson Cody, but he's, I believe he's 6,500. Yeah, he's 6,500. So, like Cody's fine. That's interesting. But Carson Young's shown it to us on tour. He's $400 cheaper. He lets you make some insane builds. After 6,500, there's really not too much to point out. I have a tiny bit of interest in Trey Mullinax just because I think he's a very talented player. But you're kind of just guessing, much like we were guessing with Champ last week. When is it going to turn back on with Trey Mullinax? Could be never. Could be 2024. Could be this week. But outside of Mullinax, maybe Schwab. I mean, like,
oh my God, I
don't think this is a good setup for Schwab, to be honest.
The only other guy I want to mention is Michael Thompson.
I was going to bring him up too. I actually like Michael Thompson.
Yeah. 65, crazy hot on Bermuda at times. Do I think he's going to particularly play well? No. Is he going to be 1% owned? Yes. If you're in a jam, can you play him? I think so.
Good top 40 bet too, kind of thing. Like, I don't think he's going to necessarily get you in contention, but he can certainly get hot with the putter. He gets you 15th or something at 65. Yeah, I mean, you're killing it. So,
and it opens it up. And now let's see what we can do here. Again, we showed you at the beginning lineup generator, making those lineups. Let's do it the other way. Jordan Klein, let's build a lineup on the way out. I believe we had Finau in the lineup last week. My memory is shot. You could blame society, but where are we going? We got the whole board available. What are we doing here?
Yeah, this is rough. I'm going to start in the 7K range. I'm going to start with Cam Davis.
Cam Davis. So immediately we know we got some leverage right off the bat. Cam Davis on the board. Tommy Fleetwood, probably my favorite play. He fits every build. Yeah. He's 8K. It doesn't box us into anything.
No, doesn't box us in. I can continue the run, or I can go up top. I think let's go up top, and let's make some decisions here. Let's go with the big boy. You know what? Let's play for it all, and you know what? Let's go back to our guy. Let's go to Tony Finau. There's zero reason why Tony Finau can't go back to back. His ownership's not going to be crazy. The setup this week, Tony Finau, he's proven he can win on like every course at this point. It's a long course. Yeah. I almost bet him this week, to be honest. That's another player. I mean, just.
Listen, there is nothing to knock. Like I said, Tony Finau has already gone back to back. I've seen it.
Quickly, just about Finau. He's 16-1, 17-1 in this field. His PGA and US Open odds still 22. At many books, 30-1 or bigger. I'm just pointing it out.
Basically, we're missing two guys.
Yeah, just pointing it out.
And I'll tell you this much, and I know you agree with this. If Tony Finau happens to win this week, 30-1 is in another stratosphere. You can forget it. You might not get 15-1 if he wins this week ever again. Run back Toasty. I don't mind that play. I'm certainly not going there. I think this is a little different course, but that guy's got some talent. If you want to pay down for him, I totally get it. Where am I going here? Let's live a little. I'm going to put in Griot.
We said we were going to do it. We got to do it.
I can't get away from him. I just love the ball striking. The putter is not a liability right now, and that is a huge game changer for Griot.
Hey, you act like Griot is some kind of we shouldn't be playing him. We should be playing him.
You know the things that have happened to me over the years with, again, this is the Reek Theon transformation from me. I used to have a very normal life before Griot, and now I'm a shell of myself, but he's going to pay me back with interest one day.
Okay. Well, there's a couple ways. I've learned a 2v2 versus situation. I do like Ricky, but I think for the build we're making, I want another player up top. So I'm going to go, I think I'm just going to eat the chalk. Well, let's just go Hovland, and I'll let you finish it off with our guys in the 7K.
Oh, this is perfect, because a couple of things that are key here. We talk about it all the time. Just because someone's popular doesn't mean you can't play them. It means you have to be different. Cam Davis is different. we're going to leave $100 here because I'm going to use Taylor Moore. I really like Taylor Moore in this spot. I think he makes a ton of sense. If you want to be even more different, Patrick Rogers at 7,500, and you leave $200 on the table. Both of those are outstanding. So Griot is Ben's guy, who is Jeff's favorite guy to play. Yes, Griot is just a dangerous man. But he's
Hovland. No, you had it right.
Yeah, Hovland. Yeah. Jordan, I spared you. I didn't go to Benny on this week. Every week he's in there. And shout out to Benny on for letting us know on Shot Tracker that wasn't his god-awful shot. I appreciate him clarifying that, because I thought he literally intentionally drove it his second into the water. But that is neither here nor there. In the last pick, we've got it on the screen. Look at that. That is a beautiful lineup. That's a winner right there.
I think those are the kind of builds. Again, it doesn't have to be Fleetwood and Hovland. It can be a couple other top players, but those are the kind of builds. Yeah, I like the looks of it. I just think there's so much potential with those guys in the 7K range. Maybe not all of them play well, but I think enough of them are going to play well that those kind of builds will have a lot of potential upside. I
love it. There you have it, friends. At the Fantasy Grind, at JazzRaz DFS, and of course you can find us here on Stokastic. If you want some of the stuff we used, from the ownership to the lineup generator to the leverage, it's all in the links below. Check it out. Get involved. The PGA is going to be here before you know it, but in the meantime, we're going to try to make some money. We're going to bounce on out of here. The Oilers are on soon. Hurricanes are in control on the ice. But again, thanks for tuning in, my friends. Derby week. Check out that video over on OddsShopper if you're betting the ponies. And until next time, good luck, enjoy, and we'll talk to you guys soon.